I mean, obviously, like, we are a very, like, liberal school and a very, like, liberal city. But I think that people are definitely sensitive to, like, when something feels, like, genuine and when something doesn't. And, like, I think that sometimes the whole, like, feminist agenda of Money Girls feels, like, artificial. And so that would be, like, my only critique on that.
Got it. And that's really interesting. Did either of the other of you feel that way too, or did that come off as kind of artificial or forced to you guys, or how do you guys feel about the social content or the tone of the messages that they're sending out?
All right, I'm also going to grab some water, so I'm going to step out for a second.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually felt the same way when I first read that, because if you're sending a mass email, you don't know who you're talking to, so you can't say that you know what they're like. And so I ended up editing that. I thought that the content that Madison gave us was a good stepping stone, but as like a student's perspective, I had to edit it to sound more like myself, which I'm sure everybody did, which is fine. But the core was good, and I thought was easy for people to understand and connect with. I personally like the social media. I honestly wish they posted more, and I don't know if that's because there's a lack of questions or I'm not sure, but I like when they post the questions on social media because I do receive the newsletter and I read it, but personally, if I just saw the questions on social media, like I like that more than reading a newsletter. But I get
because it's kind
of an easier way to reach out. Like, I don't know, but
got it. And that's just because you're kind of already on your phone, so it's kind of hitting you on the platform that you're already on. Is that why you prefer to just read it on social?
I mean, I guess that wouldn't be the reason because email is also on my phone. Maybe it's just a weird personal preference, but I feel like when I'm going through emails, like they're for work or they're for school, and so I'm more of like a to do, like trying to accomplish things and get things done. And I don't always give myself the time to read through all my newsletters. Like I receive like Scam and everything that people have been mentioning, and I read the beginning. But what I like about Money Girls is that it's not too long. It's just like sort of to the point, but I don't know. So I guess I do read both, but I like the social media more.
Got it. It sounds like, and I totally understand everything you just said, but something that I thought was interesting is that you're just kind of in a different mindset when you're scrolling through your Instagram or social media newsfeed than you are when you're scrolling through your email. So it's just kind of like you're receiving it or like understanding it in a different way just because you're in a different mindset.
Yeah.
Got it. And then I was wondering from Judy, what about you about how you feel about the social media? I know you said
I'm gonna step out and grab
I know you said that you like the tone and the tone is relatable and all. How do you feel about the social content that they're
Yeah, I understand the point Nina made about like the whole boss ass bitch thing. Like I think that's like going a little bit too far, but also I'm used to the language like for example, Morning Brew, like every single like section of news, there's like something like funny, like a pun or like such a forced pun. It's kind of fun of the pun. Like I actually as a reader enjoy it. So like I don't mind it as much as Nina or Olivia do. But there's a limit to it. I do.
I was more so asking kind of into that tone and all of that. How do you feel about the content that they're posting on social media? Like, do you find it interesting? Do you care about their Instagram at all and things like that? Or do you really just focus on the newsletter?
Yeah, only the newsletter. I like barely look at Instagram because I feel like sometimes, especially as an average Instagram user, you're not only following your friends, but you're actively trying to follow a lot of like other accounts, and then there's like the stories or like the posts, there's like a little bit too much, and I don't think it's because it's bad content or anything. It's just simply like so I don't really like dedicate a lot of my time to looking at public accounts.
Got it. Okay, so it's not specifically, it's just child.
Yeah, no, it's not specific. It's just like everything that's public, I kind of just like look at it, or most of them I just don't look at it.
Got it. I'm curious, so 2 follow-up questions from that. One of them I want to wait until Olivia gets back. But I'm curious, is there anything that they could post about that? I know you don't really look at social accounts, and you were saying you don't really look at Instagram that much maybe either, but is there anything that they could post about that would make you more interested in reading what they have to say on Instagram?
I find it, so sometimes, like, for example, I follow Vogue on Instagram, and I think it's, like, a little bit comparable because they're both publications. And I would click into the stories if it's, you know how, like, it's a picture and then, like, swipe up to see more, and then, like, an article comes up. So I don't really know if Money Girl has done that before, but instead of, like, a screenshot filled with, like, a bunch of emojis, like, information and, like, graphics, maybe, like, do you want to know more about this? Swipe up to read, and then swipe up, and then, like, something that's actually meaningful and has content. Like, I would look at that.
Got it. Okay. Olivia's back. Olivia in for the group of you just while we're on this topic, and then we'll move on to the next exercise. I'm curious how you guys feel about the name Money Girls, because I know we were talking about the tone and their style of talking to you guys and all of that. So how do you guys feel about just the name Money Girls in general?
I like it.
You like it?
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I like it too. I think it's catchy. It's, like, memorable. But I don't know if Money Girls is considering this, but if you're thinking about scaling the business beyond young women, or, like, sometimes when, like, girls or women reach, like, 25, like, they wouldn't look at this anymore. Obviously, like, the niche and, like, the strategy for Money Girls is that it's, like, focusing on students and whatever. But that's the only thing that I can think of that's limiting about the name. But I like it.
Cool. Nina or Olivia?
Yeah. I like it. I remember when Madison first texted me about it, I definitely was kind of like, oh, it's kind of a weird name. I don't know. It's probably because, like, again, like, the culture at, like, Columbia and Barnard is, like, very, like, politically correct and, like, is very, like, kind of, like, whatever. So, like, people, I, like, haven't been referred to, like, in a group as, like, girls in a while. Like, probably since, like, I've come to school, honestly. Like, our coach, like, just calls us, like, he'll be like, oh, like, women's team or something. Like, it's just, like, it's very, it was, like, very weird to me to, like, feel like I was kind of being, like, referred to as, like, in a group as, like, girls. But I don't know, once I kind of, like, got over that, I was just kind of like, oh, like, whatever. Now it's, like, really catchy to me, but I could definitely see, like, people kind of being like, oh, like, kind of a weird name, and then just kind of, like, brushing it off, I guess. I also definitely agree with what Judy was saying, that, like, it could be limiting in terms of, like, the demographic that it's reaching, because I know one of the groups that I ended up introducing Money Girls to on our campus is our, like, student athlete advisory committee, which is basically, like, our, like, student athlete version of like a student government. And so, like, we, like, work with, like, administration and athletics. And so the reason why I brought this, or, like, Money Girls to that group was because we have, like, representatives from every team. But that was men's teams and women's teams. And I definitely had e-board members from SAC come up to me and tell me after I announced about Money Girls, they were like, oh, like, would, like, guys be able to subscribe to this too? And I was like, yeah, definitely, like, guys can totally subscribe to this. But I also can see, like, people, like, maybe some of the other, like, men's athletes who maybe didn't have the initiative to ask me if, like, guys could subscribe to it too, probably didn't. And so I do think that it can